It started with a flickering streetlight, one lonely bulb outside a boarded-up house on Eldridge Street, glowing dimly like a heartbeat. No one in town ever walked past that corner after dark, not even the drunks. The house had been empty for decades or so, people thought. Then, one night, a video surfaced. Shaky, low-light footage posted anonymously online. No sound, just the image of a man walking past the rotting fence, his flashlight slicing through the thick fog. The camera caught what looked like a hand pressing against an upstairs window, but when police arrived the next morning to investigate, they refused to enter. Not because of danger, not because of legal issues, but because the officer who reviewed the footage recognized something no one else had seen. That wasn't a hand. It was a face. And not just any face. It belonged to a woman who had been declared dead in that very house 22 years ago. A week later, another video appeared. This time, the footage was from inside the house, brief, distorted, and chilling. No one knows who filmed it. No one knows who uploaded it. All anyone knows is this: 2 officers resigned. 1 moved out of the country. And the house on Eldridge Street remains sealed, untouched, and whispering in the dark. This is the story they tried to keep hidden, and tonight, you're going to hear it. Eldridge was a small town buried deep in the heart of Pennsylvania, quiet, wooded, and rarely touched by time. People liked it that way, the kind of town where everyone knew each other, and no one locked their doors except for the old McKinley house at the edge of Birch Hollow. Locals didn't talk about it much. The older folks referred to it as the cursed lot, and the kids, well, they turned it into a dare, a place to prove their bravery on Halloween nights. But no one ever stayed long on the porch, and no one ever crossed the rusted gate, at least, not after what happened in 2003. That was the year a woman named Joanna McKinley was found dead in the upstairs nursery. Her face was pale, her hands covered in soot, and her body surrounded by dozens of melted candles. The official story was accidental fire damage, though strangely, no fire had ever been reported that night. The house remained intact, but her body was burned from the inside out. She left behind a husband, Marcus, and a baby daughter, Evelyn, who vanished shortly after the funeral. No remains, no leads, just gone. The house had been empty ever since, or so everyone believed. Our story begins with Logan Reeves, a 34-year-old freelance documentary filmmaker from Harrisburg. Logan specialized in urban legends and abandoned places. The stranger, the better. He'd seen things that would keep most people awake at night, but for Logan, the thrill was in the unknown. He ran a moderately successful YouTube channel called Urban Graves, known for its atmospheric explorations, narrated voiceovers, and subtle horror. He didn't fake anything. That was his rule. So when he received an anonymous tip in his inbox, subject line, "You're looking in the wrong places. Eldridge has what you want." With a single video attached, Logan paused. The video was 34 seconds long. The footage was grainy and black and white. It showed the outside of a house with broken windows and what appeared to be a child's mobile slowly spinning in an upstairs window. The last frame before the clip cut off showed a figure standing behind the curtain, a woman, thin, pale, with eyes black as pitch. Logan sat still for a long moment, not because he was afraid, but because deep in his archives, he remembered seeing that house before. It was in a 2003 news report about the mysterious death of Joanna McKinley. He didn't wait. By morning, Logan had packed his car with batteries, a Canon cinema camera, thermal gear, a spare GoPro for head mounting, and his trademark journal. He wasn't going alone, of course. Logan's closest collaborator, Maya Torres, joined him on most projects. She was the audio tech editor, and unofficially the skeptic. Maya didn't believe in ghosts or curses. She believed in trauma, psychology, and carbon monoxide leaks. But she also knew the views they could get from the right kind of footage. When Logan told her about the McKinley house, she raised an eyebrow, police refusing to go inside. Sounds like a gimmick. It's real, Logan said. The town's got a sealed file on it. One cop resigned right after watching a single clip. They say the footage was destroyed, but someone out there still has a copy. Maya looked at the freeze-frame image on his laptop, the one with the pale woman in the window. That's either the creepiest deepfake I've ever seen, or we're heading into something serious. By the next day, they were on the road. Eldridge wasn't welcoming. When they stopped at a diner just outside town, the waitress, an older woman with trembling hands, went silent when Logan mentioned the McKinley house. She served their food, then slipped him a folded napkin, written in faded pen. "Don't go in after midnight. She wakes up angry." Maya laughed it off, but Logan pocketed it. As they approached Birch Hollow, the temperature dropped sharply. The trees bent in awkward angles. The sky, overcast and pale, pressed down on them like wet wool. Then, finally, they saw it. The McKinley house stood crooked, nearly swallowed by overgrown ivy and tangled trees. Every window was dark, except one, the top left. It was glowing faintly, as if something inside had been waiting for them. Logan set up the equipment with practiced ease, but something felt different. Normally, he'd be narrating to his camera, energizing the scene for his audience. Tonight, though, his words were sparse. The silence around the McKinley house wasn't peaceful, it was weighted like a held breath. The front yard was littered with broken toys, plastic dolls, one missing an eye, a rusted tricycle half buried in dirt. Nothing had been touched in years, but the grass was pressed down in places, like footsteps had recently passed through. Maya unfolded her parabolic mic, tested audio, and muttered, "No birds, no wind, no bugs. That's not normal." They documented the exterior first. Logan moved slowly, capturing high-resolution footage of every window, every creaking board, every ominous shadow. The sun was dipping now, bathing the sky in a reddish hue that made the house look like it was bleeding. They reached the front door. It was already cracked open. "Did you?" Maya began. "No," Logan said quietly. He slowly pushed it wider. The inside of the house was suffocatingly still. Dust swirled through the flashlight beam like ash. The air smelled wrong, moldy, but underneath that, something metallic, something sour. They entered, stepping over a torn welcome mat and into the living room. That's when Maya noticed it, the mirror by the fireplace. Her reflection didn't move. For a second, it was subtle. She turned her head, her reflection stared straight ahead. She gasped and stepped back, colliding with Logan. He turned and looked. But by the time his flashlight found the mirror, the reflection was normal. "You okay?" She blinked, nodded slowly. "Yeah, just tired. Weird angle." They moved on, but the tension had settled in her chest like ice. The kitchen still held old plates, stacked neatly, untouched by time. The calendar on the wall read October 2003. The same month Joanna McKinley had died. Logan swept his camera toward the hallway. That's when the baby monitor crackled. It was just a hissing noise at first, barely noticeable. But Maya, with her headphones on, caught it immediately. She stopped, adjusting the mic. Her eyes widened. "What is it?" Logan asked. "There's a voice on the feed," she whispered, faint, female, saying something over and over. She pulled the headphones off and replayed the last 10 seconds. The monitor buzzed. Then, "Don't let her see. Don't let her see. Don't let her see." They froze. Neither had brought a baby monitor. The signal was coming from inside the house. Logan followed the sound up the stairs, one creaking step at a time. Each footstep felt heavier, as if the house resisted their ascent. Maya stayed close, the shotgun mic pointed upward. They reached the nursery. The door was slightly ajar, and from within came the slow, rhythmic sound of a mobile turning. Logan nudged the door open. Inside, the nursery looked as if it had been untouched since 2003. Faded wallpaper with tiny rabbits, a crib in the corner, rocking chair. burn marks laced across the floor in looping spirals. The mobile above the crib turned slowly without wind, without motion. Then it stopped, mid-spin, as if something had gripped it. Maya was frozen, her eyes locked on the wall. Logan, he turned, scratched into the peeling paint, were 3 long claw marks, and beneath them, in smeared black, "Get out." They backed out slowly. Logan reached for the door. It slammed shut. Lights flickered. Downstairs. The front door creaked. Footsteps heavy. Dragging footsteps, coming up the stairs. Logan grabbed Maya's hand and pulled her into the hallway. He mounted the GoPro to his chest and aimed the handheld camera behind him as they backed toward the master bedroom. The footsteps continued, deliberate, too slow to be human. They slipped into the bedroom, locked the door, and waited. Silence. Then came the knock, not on the bedroom door but, from inside the closet, 3 slow taps. Maya, trembling, whispered, "That's not possible." Logan reached for the doorknob of the closet, his breath shallow. The camera was rolling. His hand turned the knob. Nothing. The closet was empty, except for an old tape recorder sitting on a child's blanket. It clicked on by itself. "Joanna." McKinley's voice whispered from the speaker. "They told me she was sleeping, but she never sleeps. She only pretends. And now she knows you're here." The recorder stopped. Then the lights went out. Logan activated night vision. Green hues lit the room as shadows crawled along the walls. In the corner, a figure appeared. A woman, with blackened skin, hollow cheeks, and empty eyes that reflected no light. She hovered just above the floor. The camera focused Joanna McKinley. She opened her mouth to scream, but there was no sound, only silence. Logan and Maya bolted. They didn't look back. They reached the front door and yanked it open, and were met by 2 police officers standing on the porch. One held his hand up. "You need to leave, now. But there's someone in there, we know, and we told you not to come back outside." Logan asked the officer who he was. The man didn't answer directly. He handed Logan a black envelope. Inside was a still frame from the footage. Logan hadn't released yet a perfect shot of Joanna in the nursery window, except she wasn't facing the camera. She was looking directly at Maya, and she was smiling. The ride back to the motel was silent. Logan kept glancing in the rearview mirror. Not for cars, but for her. Maya didn't speak. She just held the photo the officer had given them, staring at the window, at that pale face, smiling with purpose. "She knew me," she whispered finally. "Not just saw me, she knew me." Logan kept his eyes on the road. "We're not going back. Not even to finish the video." "No," Maya said. "We already did." Back at the motel, they uploaded the footage to a secure drive, preparing to back it up in 3 locations. Maya sifted through the GoPro recordings, her hands shaking less now, though her eyes were still haunted. That's when she noticed it. A whisper barely audible on the audio track from the nursery scene. Something beneath their voices, something woven into the silence between words. She looped it, enhanced it, slowed it down. It was her name, Maya, over and over. Maya shut her laptop. "We're deleting everything," Logan agreed. But when he reached for the hard drive, his phone buzzed. Unknown number, no message, no voicemail. Just a ping, a new file, sent directly to his encrypted email. The subject line read, "You should have stayed." The file, a photo, taken from inside the nursery. Logan stood in the center of the frame. The camera wasn't his. It had been taken from a second angle, from inside the closet, before he ever opened the door. They drove back to Harrisburg that same night, silent the entire way. Logan tried to rationalize it, some hacker, some prankster who knew too much, but deep down, he felt it. They had been watched, and not just filmed, chosen, back in his apartment. Logan finally reviewed the footage from his body-mounted GoPro. though part of him didn't want to. He paused on the hallway scene, frame by frame. In one moment, between a blink and a breath, a child's hand could be seen reaching from under the staircase, tiny, burnt, almost playful. But Maya had been behind him. No one else had entered that house with them, and yet, there it was, a hand that didn't belong to either of them, a child that had never been found. Then came the worst part. While editing the footage a week later, Logan received another email, same sender. No message, just a link to a live stream, titled, "Live Now, Upstairs Feed, Birch Hollow House." He clicked it. It was dark, static, and shadows, until slowly, the camera panned. Someone or something was controlling it. The view settled on the nursery door, closed. Then the door creaked open on its own. Inside, sitting in the middle of the room, was Maya, not blinking, not speaking, just staring directly into the lens. Logan froze. He called her. No answer. He drove to her apartment. She wasn't there. Her car was gone. Her phone went straight to voicemail. No one had seen her for days. Police wouldn't investigate. There was no evidence of a crime, no signs of a struggle, nothing left behind but a single note on her desk. 4 words, written in red ink. She never sleeps, ever. Weeks passed. Logan shut down the channel. The Urban Graves YouTube page vanished, the videos deleted, the backup drives destroyed. He stopped replying to emails, turned off his notifications, and stopped sleeping through the night. But the internet remembers. Clips from his footage leaked, fragments he didn't release, uploaded by accounts he didn't recognize. Someone, somewhere, had saved pieces of it. The nursery door slowly opening, the silent rocking chair, the reflection that smiled before Maya did, and most disturbingly the live stream of Maya sitting alone in the room, her eyes fixed on the camera. Some claimed the stream was still going, if you had the right link. Others said the house had no power, no internet, and hadn't for years. Logan tried to move on. He left Pennsylvania, sold his gear, took a quiet job editing commercials in a small firm out west. But something always followed. Sometimes, he'd hear whispering through the vents. Sometimes, static would interrupt his TV even if it wasn't turned on. Once, he opened his laptop, and without Wi-Fi, it loaded a paused frame from the original video. The nursery frozen, on the face of a woman pressed against the glass, Joanna McKinley. Behind her, the child, burned, watching, smiling. He contacted the police again. They wouldn't touch the case. One officer said only this: "You're lucky. She only wants one at a time." Logan hung up. He packed a bag. He left town, and he never filmed again. But late at night, when his dreams drift too deep, he always sees the same thing: a nursery, a mobile turning, and Maya, sitting silently in the dark, waiting. Sometimes, Logan wonders if he was meant to tell the story, or if he was just the next chapter in hers, because every night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., his phone buzzes with a new video link, and no matter how many times he blocks the sender, the footage always starts the same way. Maya's voice, whispering softly through static, "You shouldn't have left me alone in the dark." And in the reflection behind her, Joanna is smiling, but she's not looking at Maya anymore. She's looking at you.